Hey everyone, welcome back to Age and Education channel. Today we shall continue with the chapter Environment. In the last videos we have seen the importance of forests and how many ways the forests are useful for everyone, right? But even then people are resorting to cutting down the forest, destructing the forest. Why is it so? First of all, what is the term used to uh, signify this cutting of forests? It is deforestation. Okay, so deforestation means cutting of the forests. So why are the people rampantly involving in deforestation? It is because they want to do agriculture in those lands. It is means that they want to use that land for food production and for urbanization. Urbanization itself means that construction of more houses and industrial development, all these signify what? Urbanization, right? And apart from that, people are cutting the forest down for the sake of wood and overgrazing of animals. What else? Overgrazing of animals. What else we can think of? Okay, we are done with man-made things. Okay, now let us see what are the natural things that are leading to deforestation. The natural things can be forest fires, right? Forest fires and some pests and diseases. All these will lead to deforestation, right? So what are the ill effects of deforestation? What are the consequences of deforestation? Is in any manner cutting off the forest good? No. In any manner cutting off the forest is not good. Even for with the excuse of agriculture, urbanization and everything, you should always try to avoid cutting off the forests, right? Now, so what's happening here? There is always a dilemma as do we want development or do we want forests, right? So in this fight sometimes forests win, sometimes development win. Okay, so we have to find a way which will help us to conserve the forest, and at the same time we have to give for a way leeway for development too, but more importance should always be given for forests. First of all, before getting into that, we will just see what are the consequences of deforestation. Okay, all right, what are the consequences of deforestation? Just think what happens without forests. We know that there will be, what is it? There will be more carbon dioxide accumulation in the atmosphere, right? More carbon dioxide accumulation, and apart from that, rainfall reduces. After that, rainfall reduces. After that, tell me, climate changes, right? You can find many climatic changes. There will be biodiversity loss. Biodiversity loss, which means that not only plants but also animals that depend on these plants, that depend upon this forest habitat, will be lost, right? They either die, perish, right? And some animals which are so attached to this habitat itself may even go extinct. So there will be biodiversity loss, there will be rainfall reduction, there will be more of carbon dioxide accumulation, and many climatic changes we can see. There will be water cycle disruption, right? And many people who depend on forests for food, they also will lose their livelihood, and many animals depend on the forest for food and shelter, they will get affected. So we don't want these many bad consequences to come up, right, with because of this deforestation. So what should we do when there is always a dilemma between deforestation and development, right? You're getting my point, right? For why are people resorting to deforestation? For the sake of development and for the sake of varied needs. Okay, so what can we do? What can we do to conserve the forest then? when this is happening, you should do something, right, so that we can conserve the forest. The first thing always would be what? We will see in the next slide, otherwise this slide will get clumsy. Okay. Alright, what should we do for conservation of forests? Just think, what should we do for conservation of forests? The first and foremost thing we can do is afforestation. What is the meaning of afforestation? It means planting more and more trees, right? Planting more trees. And also you can restore the forests that are already cut. It means that you can take some steps, restore the forests, right? So you can take some steps such that the trees in the forest grow back, right? So you can do this afforestation, you can restore the forest, and after that there is one way called as planned harvesting. What is it? Planned harvesting means whenever you want to cut the trees for the sake of wood, right? So if this is the forest and you have so many trees like this, okay, and you want these trees to be cut for the wood, then you should not clear out this entire area for the wood. You may cut some trees here and you may have to leave some other trees. So you will have dual benefit here. When some trees are left here in this part of the forest, what happens is that there won't be soil erosion, right? You can prevent soil erosion. Soil erosion can be prevented by leaving some trees. And apart from that, as there are already some other uncut trees, the other trees can grow from these trees, right? Because of the seed dispersal, you know how the trees grow, right? So with that you can get some other trees. So again this whole forest can get repopulated with the trees. So a natural way of afforestation can take place here, right? So this is about the planned harvesting, afforestation, and also restore the forest. And apart from that, you may in natural way you may use the items, like you may adopt reducing, you know this, right? Reducing and recycling the things, so that you need not cut many trees for your daily needs, right? So you need not cut many trees for your daily activities. So by adopting this psyche of recycling the things, you can avoid using many things that will in turn protect the trees from being cut, right? So this is about the conservation of the forest. And also one other thing I wanted to mention, there is also something called as agroforestry, right? What is this agroforestry? It says that whenever some person is using a piece of land for agriculture, they can plant more and more trees, so that what happens is that the agriculture can also be done in the place in between, and the trees can also be there surrounding it, and so it serves the purpose of afforestation, right? Okay, nice. This is about conservation of the forest, right? So what is it? Again, I want to summarize it. Afforestation, restoring the forest, planned harvesting, and reducing and recycling, and apart from that agroforestry, wherein agriculture and trees are grown together, and so it serves the purpose of afforestation, right? Now we are done with this forest aspect too. Now we shall get into, okay, the last leg would be wastewater management, right? So now what are the sources of this wastewater? Tell me. The sources would be so many, right? You can broadly classify it to be coming from house, industries, hospitals, offices, and some other places, right? Offices, etc. So if we can say about houses, in what way? By bathing, washing clothes and utensils, right? flushing the toilet, and cooking. Okay, all these will become the sources of wastewater from a household. And industries too, you know, many things like the industries will be using some water, and all that water will have so many harmful and poisonous chemicals, right? So this will also, the water released from the industries will become wastewater, right? It will be a potent source of wastewater. Okay, and how about hospitals? You know, the water that is that will come from this hospitals may have so many pathogens or disease causing germs, right? And these are also very unsafe, and so this also form wastewater. And from offices and many other parts, you know what is the meaning of wastewater, right? Okay, I forgot to mention about agriculture. How about the wastewater that is coming from agriculture? It will have so many insecticides, pesticides, fertilizers, and all these are also so dangerous, right? So what we have to do about all this? In what way will we get affected because of all this? So this wastewater, what happens? This wastewater can cause many diseases like cholera, typhoid, diarrhea, etc. Right? And apart from this, what is the other thing is that because of the chemicals, nutrients present in the water, right? So in this wastewater too, there are many nutrients present, especially from the agriculture waste what we are getting. There will be many nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus. Why do we find this nitrogen, phosphorus? It is because as a fertilizer, for agriculture we keep using NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Because of this you can get this nitrogen, phosphorus in the wastewater too, right? And this one and other organic material will also be present. This will all promote the growth of weeds, right? What happens with these weeds? These weeds, they grow too much and they consume all the oxygen that is present in the water, right? So this wastewater, first thing is that the wastewater will be released into the water bodies, right? So when this wastewater gets directly released into the water bodies, as this water will have so many nutrients and other organic material too, what happens is that more and more weeds grow, right? So if the weeds grow, what happens? This will take up the entire oxygen. Okay, so the aquatic life will have less amount of oxygen for survival. And now tell me, will the aquatic life be as happy as previously it would be? No, right? Because it has less amount of oxygen and it will be very difficult for the life sustenance in such low oxygen levels. Okay, so all this wastewater that we have talked about is called as sewage. Okay, and the system of collection of all this wastewater released by the houses, industries, hospital, offices is called as drainage, right? The system of collecting all this sewage is called as drainage. Okay, and it is very important that this has to be adequately cleaned up. The sewage has to be treated properly so that we can maintain hygienic conditions, right? And we can prevent such diseases from occurring, right? So what we have to do about this sewage treatment is the next question to be asked, right? So about sewage treatment, this is a sequential process, right, wherein we proceed from primary stage to secondary and then to tertiary. Okay, in the primary stage, what happens is that the sewage is sent into, first of all let me name it, otherwise we won't know where we are, right? So in the primary stage, what happens? First of all, the sewage is sent through strainers, right? The strainers, and the water will flow beyond the strainer, and all the plastic material, any bit of pieces of clothes, plastic cups, bags, everything will be left over here, get accumulated here into this part, and the other part will have a separation tank, right? What is it? This tank is called as settlement tank. Okay, in this settlement tank, the water is left for few hours, and then you can find the suspended solids to be settled down at the bottom. What happens? The suspended solids called as primary sludge. What is it? Primary sludge will settle down at the bottom, and the water here will be called as clarified water, and this clarified water will be sent to the secondary stage. Okay, before that, what should we do with this primary sludge? This primary sludge is transferred into separate tank called as what? Digesters. And in this digesters, anaerobic bacteria, what is it? Anaerobic bacteria act upon this sludge and decomposes it to give biogas. That is, when anaerobic bacteria decomposes primary sludge, we get biogas, and this biogas can be used as fuel. Okay, now again, shall I explain it again? I hope it's better if I do that. So now the water, what happens? The water will pass through the strainer. What is this? Strainer. And in this process, all the plastic bags and big materials will get accumulated here, and the rest of the water will be sent to the settlement tank. Here it will be left for few hours, and then what we can find is all the suspended solids will settle down at the bottom. This suspended solids is called as primary sludge, right? This primary sludge will be sent to digesters, and in digesters the anaerobic bacteria decompose this sludge, and in this process what we get is biogas. Okay, this biogas will be used as the fuel. Now here what we get is clarified water, right, at the primary stage, and we get clarified water. This clarified water will have to be treated again in the secondary stage, right? So in the secondary stage, what happens here is the clarified water is sent into the secondary stage, and here this water is put into aeration tanks. What is it? Aeration tanks. Here what we aim at is removal of organic matter from that clarified water, right? So what we are aiming, we wanted to remove the organic matter from the water, and for this what we do is we pump lot of oxygen, right? We pump oxygen here, and also we will be continuously stirring so that the aerobic bacteria, what is it? The aerobic bacteria can decompose the organic matter, right? And at last what we get is active sludge, right? What we get is active sludge. Again I am repeating, the clarified water is sent into aeration tanks, and here there will be lot of oxygen that will be pumped into the tank, and also there will be continuous stirring so that the aerobic bacteria can decompose the organic matter, and at last what we get is active sludge at the bottom and the water at the top, right? Now what should we do with this active sludge? This active sludge will be left with so much of water, and so this water is removed and this sludge is dried either through machines or through some drying beds. Okay, and after the sludge get dried, it can be used as manure, right? So the dried sludge can be used as manure. Now you have the water here, right? So now this water is devoid of organic matter too. It means that it doesn't have organic matter too. Now in some cases this will be further treated with chlorine or ozone and will be sent into the water bodies, released into the water bodies. But in some cases what happens is that we will further further clean it up, and it will be sent to tertiary stage. What is it? Tertiary stage. What happens here is that our main aim here will be removal of dissolved chemicals. What is it? Removal of dissolved chemicals and some pathogens, right? So here, how can this be done? This can be done, one way to do is by sending this water into man-made ponds. Okay, here what happens is that there will be some what do you call water hyacinth and duckweed, etc. These will help. This will help in the removal of these dissolved chemicals, in the sense that there will be denitrifying bacteria here. These denitrifying bacteria will thrive in the low oxygen environment that is present in this man-made ponds, right? This man-made ponds intentionally will have this water hyacinth and duckweed, so that there will be low oxygen environment, and because of this low oxygen environment, the denitrifying bacteria, what they does? They do biological conversion of, what is it? I don't think this is all necessary. That is the reason I am a bit skeptical while telling all this to you. Okay, biological conversion of nitrate into nitrogen happens. Just listen to this. This is not so important. Okay, nitrate to nitrogen happens. Then the nitrogen will simply go off into the air, right? So for this denitrifying bacteria to act upon the nitrates that is present in the water, right, and clear this water of any dissolved chemicals and pathogens, it is put in the man-made ponds where you can find water hyacinth, duckweed, etc. And there the water will be cleared of these dissolved chemicals and pathogens too, right? And in some cases some clay liners are also added, and everything will be fine after this. Now then, after the tertiary stage, the water will be treated with chlorine and ozone and will be sent to the water bodies. This water is released into the water bodies, right? Now don't get confused with all these. Okay, in the tertiary stage you just have to eliminate the dissolved chemicals and pathogens, right? This is only for that, and for this we use man-made ponds where water hyacinth and duckweed will be present. It is enough if you remember till that point. You need not think about this denitrifying bacteria. Okay, don't get confused. Rather eliminate it from your brain too. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so in the tertiary stage it's only about clearing the water from dissolved chemicals and pathogens using man-made ponds, right? After the tertiary stage, then the water will be sent, will be treated with chlorine and ozone and will be released into the water, right, water bodies. So this is about the sewage treatment. With this we can happily consider that we are done with this entire chapter of environment. Okay, now if you really like this video, consider liking and subscribing. Okay, thank you. See you in the next class. Bye.